gosh. Well, you know what? I like that brother trucker tune so much. I don't mind just letting it go. What I don't do well is technology. Anyway, folks, welcome to the Fallon Forum today. I had the interesting experience to head down to the farmer's market. Well, that's nothing unusual about that. Down to the farmer's market to see what's going on, of course, in the big sense, but also specifically to see what was happening with Larry Cleverly and Cleverly Farms. They are under attack by the DOT, and we're going to talk about that today on the Fallon Forum. We're also going to talk about the political landscape. There's some new information in, well, actually, it's the first released poll regarding the governor's race. The poll also talks about Branstad's popularity, and it is quite high, surprising to me, actually. But there's the Democrats are having fits about the poll, but they shouldn't. A poll, I'll talk more about that. The polls really don't mean anything at this point in a race, in a statewide race. I want to talk a little bit about Senator Grassley, who surprised me pleasantly one day, but made up for it the next. I want to talk about the another no-name candidate jumping into the U.S. Senate race on the Republican side. And also, I want to, read the Democratic Party needs to play nicer with others. We're going to talk about that today as well. We'll also talk about Tom Vilsack's commentary on climate change and how it might affect agriculture. And, there's a follow-up letter to the editor regarding the Great Climate March, the Great March for Climate Action, and someone challenging State Representative Ralph Watts to a debate. We'll talk about that today as well. And also some new information out from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. That's a creature of the UN. All right. To kick it off here, though, a couple other things. Before we talk about Larry Cleverly's situation, I do want to talk about a couple little sidebars. And before I even do that, I want to take a second to thank all of my sponsors. Well, not all of them. Let's just settle with thanking a few of them. Tinker Heating and Cooling. Again, it may be furnace time still in some homes, but it's going to be AC time real soon. Give Tinker a shout, folks, at 371-2114. Remind you, too, of Hawk Restaurant. I had some friends pop into Hawk Restaurant last Sunday. They were pretty busy on Sunday with Pride Fest going on. Hawk Restaurant is at East 5th and Walnut, and 90% of the food they serve comes from local farms, local producers. A reminder, too, about the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit, which is coming up on November 9th. A great opportunity for folks who want to start their own business. Give them a shout, too, and I want to thank Gateway Market for sponsoring this segment of our show. And our nonprofit sponsors, the Great March for Climate Action, the Iowa chapter of Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. And I want to mention the Sierra Club in this segment of the program. But again, I got two things I just got to share with you. One of them very serious, and one of them, well, also very serious, but coming at a serious subject from a funny angle. I do not know much about Turkey, but one of our listeners, one of our regular commentators, somebody who's always tuning into the show. The same day that she mentioned that we ought to be paying more attention to Turkey, boom, up pops a news story about a protest estimated at 10,000 people in the central. I think this must be the central square in Istanbul. 10,000 people. That's not a small crowd. Turkey's prime minister, who is being called a dictator by some, dismissed the protesters as an extremist fringe. Now, I'm sorry. No matter how you slice it, 10,000 people is never a fringe. It's possible that they might be extremists, but to say that they're a fringe you're straining your credibility to do that. And this is apparently the biggest anti-government outburst in years, and I don't know a lot about it, but Turkey's a very important. Well, every country is important. Turkey is maybe more significant because of their size and their strategic location between Asia and Europe. So this may be worth paying attention to. Again, we don't spend a lot of time on foreign policy in this program because there's so much else to cover locally and nationally. But that is something that interests me and is worth paying attention to. Okay, so the cartoon in the paper. You know, most of them are pretty dull, actually. Some of them don't make any sense at all. This one, boom, I thought it scored a zinger. It shows a CEO. He's sitting at his desk. And the caption says, a CEO who makes $9.6 million a year, and that is the median pay for CEOs of large corporations in this country. The CEO who makes 4 rest stops a day, and that's an average, and each of them are estimated to be 1 minute in duration. That CEO makes 4 times as much standing at the urinal annually as a minimum wage worker makes all year. And that doesn't count hand washing. All right, funny cartoon with a very important message. Yeah, when are we going to get some pay equity in this? You know, we've talked about pay equity between women and men doing the same work. You know, a woman doing the same job as a man will get 70% of what that man makes. Well, again, even more out of line is the discrepancy between CEO pay and average worker pay. And, you know, it is, there is no country in the world where the disparity is so extreme as in our country. All right, what I want to focus on this segment of our show is the issue of Larry Cleverly's farm in Jasper County near Mingo. Actually, Mingo, Baxter, that area. That farm has been in that family a long time, and it is threatened by a proposal by the Department of Transportation to create a new interchange just beyond the intersection of Highway 330 and Highway 65. Before we talk about that, just to put some context on the situation, on the bigger picture, it is often said you cannot fight City Hall. I've never bought that. I've made a living, career at any rate. I'm not sure much of a living, but that's what I've done, fight City Hall. Even as a legislator, I saw my job was to advocate for people who had trouble accessing the halls of power, who were not being heard in the Department of Human Services or Corrections or DOT. I'm familiar with this case in Cedar Rapids. I got to know the folks involved with this effort to stop Highway 100 from being widened, expanded, and built through a major nature preserve that has tremendous local value, and for many, many reasons. This has been stopped for a long time, and the Sierra Club, again, I thank them as one of our program supporters. The Sierra Club is one of has filed suit actually, or had filed suit, and it made it all the way to the Iowa Supreme Court, where the Iowa Supreme Court unfortunately ruled 7-0 against the Sierra Club. They were trying to again block construction of this highway in the Cedar Rapids area, just on the, I think it's the north, I believe the northwest side of town. Now, I did not understand the court's reason for objecting to the Sierra Club's position. They said the DOT, they said the Sierra Club should have asked the DOT for a declaratory order to reverse its decision on where to locate the extension before filing the lawsuit. Well, that seems very procedural. It almost seems like it doesn't seem like it gets to the essence of what the lawsuit is about. Because again, this highway would put a major road through the Rock Island County Preserve, adjacent to the Rock Island State Preserve, and local environmentalists, Sierra Club types only being a part of them, argue that would threaten the rare and endangered wildlife and plants that are in that preserve. It's a preserve for a reason. So again, I hope the group continues to fight it. I don't know what the next step is. We're gonna hopefully get somebody from the Sierra Club on this program to talk about that sometime soon. But I offer that as kind of a prelude to the discussion about the DOT wanting to take the Cleverly farm. The area just south and west of the Cleverly farm, the old Highway 330, which used to be a two-lane highway. It was constructed back in the 1930s originally, I believe. diagonal from Des Moines to Marshalltown. And it was deemed to be unsafe and warranted widening. And I think people could argue that, well, yeah, widening might have been in order, but the proposal that the DOT had planned would have absolutely destroyed one of the only two wetlands of this type. It's the Ingledinger Marsh. Ingledinger is one of two prairie potholes in the southern part of the state that are all like this. It's a very unique area with plants you won't find elsewhere, formed by a big block of glacial ice melting over time, over a long period of time, a long time ago. And it was kind of deemed to be not going anywhere. There was no hope for it. We put together a great coalition of business leaders, of university folks who study botany, who value these sort of things, of folks concerned about some of the local farms that would have been affected. In the end, we did win, essentially. It wasn't as often in politics, when you, quote, win, it means you come up with a good compromise. You settle for maybe not the entire enchilada, but enough to be satisfied that you've accomplished some good. And that was the case here. The road was not widened through the marsh. The marsh was protected. It's actually been identified as a part of the Polk County Conservation Board's network right now, which is great. And the road that was built, again, unfortunately, yeah, it did take up some farm ground, and that was really unfortunate. It did not do what the DOT now wants it to do to the Cleverly farm, which is pretty much wipe it off the map. And this is really unfortunate because Larry Cleverly has been an icon in the local foods movement for almost 2 decades now. He first started selling food at the farmers market back in 1997. I remember Larry used to focus on garlic. He still does garlic. He does a lot of other things too, but I remember him telling me he would say, "I'm the biggest garlic farmer in Iowa," which is kind of like being the biggest Chevy dealer in Carlisle. Something along those lines. It was cleverly. But there weren't too many people doing what Larry was doing back in the 90s. He was very innovative, provided a lot of, put a real face on the local foods movement and inspired a lot of other people to move forward with their own farming dreams, their own dreams of creating a production for local consumption. And more and more people are doing that. Great article in the paper this past weekend about Jordan Clausen in Johnston with I think it's called Grade A Farms. So Larry has been an inspiration to a lot of people, and it is a tragedy that the DOT wants to come in and basically condemn, again, for all practical purposes, most of his farm. There's no reason for this. Again, you look at and I haven't studied it to the degree that I need to. I've looked at it enough to go, oh my gosh, come on, give me a break. You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be coming in and destroying this family's farm. Again, a farm that's been in their family for a long time. The power of government to condemn has its purpose, but it ought to be severely constrained. The legislature, when I was in office, we took great steps to put some restrictions on the use of eminent domain. In my opinion, not enough. We have a ways to go on that to get to the point where we really truly have eminent domain in the narrow window where it belongs. And when you're talking about a questionable road expansion that puts a farm out of business that has been so valuable and to so many people through such a broad area of central Iowa, that's just all kinds of wrong. And so I'm delighted that Larry is fighting back. I'm delighted that a lot of people have stepped forward to fight with him. And I would encourage people to go to the Facebook page that has been created. Well, actually, the Facebook page has existed. The Cleverly Farms Facebook page. That is now the epicenter for this battle. And again, I really hope more people will take the time to sign the petition, share it with others, spread the word. Larry is very grateful for all the help he's getting. And again, I think this is just the beginning. The DOT is not going to back down lightly, but I do believe, as evidenced by what happened on Highway 330 just south and west of Larry years ago, that we can win these fights, and they're absolutely worth fighting. So again, give them go to that page, Cleverly Farms on Facebook, and you can learn more about it and hopefully throw your support behind it as well. Again, we're going to be talking more about this. I want to try to get Larry on the show. He's a busy guy, but I'd like to have that conversation with him as well and some of the other folks that are helping him out. And I would like to get somebody from the DOT on this program as well. We are working on that. Maddie is working on that, and we're trying to line up a fair and balanced discussion that gives both sides an opportunity. And again, I have my strong opinions, but I always give people a chance to share why they think an issue is important, even if I happen to disagree. Okay. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about politics, about some of these polls, about the Democrats going on the offensive in a way that just looks embarrassing to them, about Grassley. 2 Grassleys. I agree with 2 Grassleys in one day. Who knew that was possible? But then all that great feeling was ruined not too long after that. Wow. But it was to be expected. Okay, polls showing Jack Hatch being trounced by Leonard Boswell, Tyler Olson being similarly, not by Leonard Boswell, by Governor Branstad. These polls are insignificant, and I will tell you why when we come back. I do want to, again, thank Gateway Market and Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show. Gateway is at 20th and Woodland. Check them out, folks, for a cafe, breakfast, lunch, and supper, a grocery store, and a catering service. I want to also remind you of Diana's Wedding Cakes in Newton. If you got a wedding coming up, check out Diana's Wedding Cake. Information about Diana's on the Fallon Forum website. I also want to remind you of Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering in Beaverdale, a great place to go for brunch on Sunday, but lunch and dinner any day of the week. And owner Robert Sanda, who I ran into at the Pride Fest, he and his family have done a great job at providing a lot of creative menu items. And Tally's, by the way, named after his adorable daughter. Tally is her nickname. I'll be back in a few minutes.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 101 of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
is Mr. Baber's Neighbors, and we're back here to our conversation today on the Fallon Forum. I want to wish my wonderful assistant, Maddie Arrington, a happy birthday. Maddie? Are you there?
No.
You aren't?
No, I am.
Well,
I am
happy
now.
birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. You are now 19 years older
No, I'm
than
still...
you were when you were born. What? Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, you're 19, right?
Yes.
Gosh, so talented. 19. When I was 19, I could not do anything responsible.
I believe that.
What do you mean you believe that? You're supposed to come to my defense. Now you're fired.
But you
Get out of
said
here. I'll
it.
fire you on your birthday. How do you feel about that?
So am I supposed to defend you against yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll
If you
note
won't
that.
defend me against myself, I don't know who will. Anyway, happy birthday. Thanks for coming in today. I mean, you could have blown it off, slept in, been sitting at home eating cake all day, but no, you're here working.
I'd be so fat.
You'd be
'Cause I
so-
love cake.
Well, anyway, big month for you. Birthday this month, wedding next month.
No, birthday this month, wedding this month.
Oh, this month, that's right. This month as well.
Yep.
Big month for you. Let me go back to what I
Yes.
said at first. All right. Congratulations, Maddie.
Thank you.
I do want to thank Hawk Restaurant for sponsoring this segment of our program. I also want to thank some of my other business supporters, the Fighting Burrito at 13th and Locust in Des Moines and on Welch Avenue in Ames. I love the fact that Fighting Burrito is actually open on Sundays as well, because after Pride Fest, I went down there and had me a big honking burrito. Also want to thank Story County Veterinary Clinic. Dr. Kim Holding's been fixing up pets for 30 plus years. That's on Highway 30 between Ames and Nevada. I want to thank Ritual Cafe. I like to make them a daily part of my ritual, and if not daily, at least every other day. Ritual is at 13th and Locust as well, and not just great coffee and smoothies and tea, but fantastic music as well. All right, so we're going to talk politics this segment. When we come back later in the show, we'll be talking about Tom Vilsack and climate change. You're welcome to join me, of course. 244-0077, 244-0077. Toll free, it's 855-244-0077. And be warned that if you don't call, and Frank does, I will have to take Frank's phone call. All right? You've been warned. You have been warned. Maddie, they've been warned, have they not? Okay. All right, so where to start with this? We're going to start with the poll. The Register poll showing that Governor Branstad is popular. I got to admit, I was a little surprised that 54% of Iowans surveyed in this poll were either very favorable or mostly favorable toward Governor Branstad. I'm just surprised because he's taken some positions that I mean, most people. If you ask, for example, most people, do you support enrolling in the federal government's expansion of the Medicaid program, or do you support a program that requires you as state taxpayers to pay more, covering 150,000 less people? I mean, most people, 90%? I mean, 10% might be contrarians. I mean, I can't imagine more than 10% would go with the option of pay more, cover less people. Yet that's one of the things he's done this year. That was his focus when it came to the healthcare debate. And it got a lot of press. Maybe people weren't paying attention. Maybe people don't hold that against them. Maybe they look at the other things that happened and think, oh, that's okay. But again, I also look at economic development. I mean, Branstad has been big on this property tax cut. And you look at that. I mean, his position, I know that the final bill didn't do as much damage as he would like. I'm not convinced it's a good bill at all. But, some at least feel it's a lot better than it could have been. But what he wanted to do was, a big tax break for Walmart, for big box stores, for out-of-state corporations. Why does that make any sense? And you couple that with the argument he made last fall, or actually maybe I think it might have been earlier this year, that, we're giving out, a total of $251 million in tax revenue to an Egyptian fertilizer company. And his argument was, if the property tax system was more fair, more friendly toward business, we wouldn't have to do that. Well, I didn't buy that argument. I don't think most people did. But if you ask people, if you poll people on the question, do you support giving away $251 million to an Egyptian fertilizer company, or for that matter, 18 million to Facebook to create 31 jobs, permanent jobs, most people are going to say no. And maybe I really don't know why Governor Branstad is so popular. I can't figure it out. If you have an answer, let me know. 244-0077. I really can't figure it out. Taking those kinds of positions makes no sense.
I've heard it's the mustache.
You think it's the mustache people like?
I think so.
So you think
mustaches have become extremely popular. Like, they're making jewelry that looks like mustaches now for girls.
Jewelry that looks like mustaches?
I'll have to find a picture.
For girls?
I'll have to find a picture.
I'm not sure the mustaches for girls is ever going to catch on.
I think it is.
I know that leg hair in Europe has.
Well, no, it's not like a mustache that the girls wear on their upper lip, but it's like earrings that are little mustaches or T-shirts with mustaches on them.
I think I've seen that. I still don't know why that's popular.
Branstad.
You're so fired. Just get out of here.
Okay.
Go celebrate your birthday without a paycheck. What do I care? All right. I hope there is actually a Facebook page asking Governor Branstad to dump the mustache, but I don't think you can explain a 54% favorable rating because of a mustache. I really don't know what it is. I mean, you look at his proposals, they're horrible, and most people would agree when asked on each item. So I don't get it. I don't know why. Mystery to me. All right, the next item is not a mystery to me. Governor Branstad beats Jack Hatch in a head-to-head race for governor, 55% to 27%. I was at a funeral yesterday, and before the funeral, sitting next to a woman who was all distraught about that, saying, "Well, what are we going to do?" I said, "Here's what you do: don't pay any attention to it. It's a poll that is so far ahead of the reality of next year's election that it matters not. I mean, this is we're well beyond a year out from the gubernatorial election in November 2014." I mean, this poll means nothing. All it means is more people know Branstad than they do Jack Hatch, or for that matter, Tyler Olson. Tyler Olson does not poll very well against Branstad either. Again, no surprise. When Vilsack ran against Lightfoot, Lightfoot had run for U.S. Senate. He'd been a congressman. He had tremendous name recognition. He was up over. He was besting Vilsack by about the same margin. Vilsack came back to beat him. Now, so the name recognition thing is what's at work. If you're a fan of Jack Hatch, fear not. That poll means nothing. If you're a fan of Tyler Olson, fear not. It means nothing. If you are a fan of Bob Krause, then you should be concerned because Bob Krause is left out of the Des Moines Register poll. I can relate to that. I that really bothers me when that happens because it is the Register making a decision to selectively exclude, to marginalize certain candidates. They did this to me. And yet, I was able to overcome that and come within, well, depending on the way I analyzed it, about 7,000 votes of winning. Don't let them do that. There should be, and again, I'm not endorsing Bob Krause, Tyler Olson, Jack Hatch. I think we should have a nice spirited primary. I think we should have a nice spirited primary on the Republican side as well. So I hope somebody challenges Branstad, although there's a caveat to that, and I'll tell you that in a second. But Bob Krause should be taken seriously. He's the only one of the three who actually ran for statewide office. Yeah, he got his derriere thumped by Roxanne Conlon, but that's because it's Roxanne Conlon who had already run for statewide office years before and who had really, really deep pockets and is really well connected within the Democratic Party. And you had a third candidate, Tom Fegan. So between Tom and Bob, they didn't get a big percentage of the vote against Roxanne Conlon. But again, that was a different race. The guy actually ran statewide. Again, I'm not saying this is no way, shape, form an endorsement at all. I'm saying, in fairness, give the guy a chance. Stop marginalizing him. So if you agree with that, this is a great opportunity to write to the paper and say, hey, cover, what's the harm in adding a third person to your poll? There is none. It makes no sense. And in fact, when they looked at the U.S. Senate race, again, you got Braley on one side, like for the governor's race, Branstad, one candidate. And then on the Republican side for the race for the U.S. Senate, they actually polled three candidates. So what made them think that it was okay to poll three candidates? Again, three candidates who are pretty much unknown. I mean, Matt Whitaker, have you heard of him? David Young. Joni Ernst, maybe you've heard of her. I don't know. But very few people. Actually, 88% don't know Joni Ernst. 82% don't know Matt Whitaker. 74% don't know David Young. I'm surprised it's not higher than that. But I'll bet if you put Bob Kraus in there, more people would know him than know any of those three candidates. So why does it make any sense at all to exclude them? It really doesn't. And it's just not fair to the register, and they should be taken to task for it. All right, I got a little more to talk about. We're going to come back and talk some more politics in the next segment. But I want to thank, again, I want to thank Hawk Restaurant for sponsoring this segment of our show. And again, folks, you got to check out Hawk Restaurant. The food is absolutely fantastic. The owners, Suman and Cynthia Hawk, do a great job, and they get 90% of their food from local farms like Larry Cleverly's farm, which we need to save from the DOT. I want to thank S&P Piano. This is a piano mover that has unfortunately had to move my piano a lot. I say unfortunately because I probably should be paying their chiropractic bill. But S&P will move your piano anywhere in the country, and you can find out more information about them on my website. Also, I want to thank Dan Kelly. Dan Kelly has a real estate service when he's not in the legislature. He operates out of Newton. If you're looking at property in Newton, or maybe want to buy in Newton, give him a shout. He's also information listed on my website. Sergeant's Garage, the third business support I'd want to mention. If you got a car that needs fixing, Graham Gormley with Sergeants can do it, as he has done with 4 generations of Fallon mobiles. Okay, when we come back, I got a little bit of criticism today for Senator Grassley and a little bit of praise for him and another Grassley. And I've also got some criticism, some strong criticism for the Iowa Democratic Party. Come on, you don't need to look this dumb. There's no need for it. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The dawn of a new era begins. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back to the conversation. Is that a birthday song of some type?
It is now.
It is now. Okay. Well, it's not just Maddie who's celebrating her birthday today. My bike is also celebrating her birthday, and my bike actually had the good sense to wear this beautiful. Is that a party hat?
Of course.
Okay, it's not a dunce cap.
Hey now.
No. You look good, bike.
I know.
What does it mean when a bike is born? Is that Like the day you were assembled or the day that I purchased you? What does it mean?
I think it's the day I was assembled.
All right.
Or it was the day the plans were drawn up. Possibly.
Okay. All right. Anyway, any big birthday plans tonight?
I might just ride around.
Okay. Well, if you got to ride, don't drink.
I'll do my best.
All right. All right. Hey, I want to thank the folks at the $1 Million Marathon for sponsoring this segment of our show. Also want to thank Max Wellman, the Max Wellman Trio. Worth hearing, folks. I want to thank Sid's Catering. Again, you can go out and you can go find information about Sid's Catering on my website or go to cateringbysyd.com. And also remind you of the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit coming up on November 9th. Long ways away, but worth getting on the calendar. All right, so another no-name Republican has entered the race for U.S. Senate. Well, maybe he's well known up in Sioux City, but this is conservative radio talk host Sam Clovis. I don't know why talk show hosts feel they're qualified to run for office. That just makes no sense at all. I can't think of a less qualified person for public office than a talk show host. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, so this guy says, I have done my due diligence in both, you would think maybe, looking at the issues, talking with other people involved with politics. But no, I've done both. I've done my due diligence in prayer and counseling. I guess maybe a little bit of prayer and maybe some counseling is needed to run for office, but I would think that would be like secondary to really seeing what you have to bring to the conversation, what your issues are, But he's done his diligence and his due diligence in prayer and counseling with friends and family. And I believe it's time to step up and announce my decision on my intentions for the United States Senate seat. And the talk show host said that in a written statement. So anyway, maybe we'll try to get him on this show. That'd be fun to have a talk show host on my talk show. I got to tell you, back to the Branstad thing for a second. As much as I am not a fan of Governor Branstad, imagining him losing to any Democrat is really tough. I mean, I don't see it happening. Again, there's a long time between now and November, but I don't see it happening. Neither do I see any Republican coming close to beating Bruce Braley in the race for U.S. Senate. Again, it's a long time to the general election. Yeah, but at least the candidates who are coming up against Branstad have some, statewide and or legislative experience. The folks running on the Republican ticket against Braley, again, an aide to Senator Grassley, a former U.S. attorney, a brand new state senator, and now a talk show host. That's not a very intimidating field. We'll see what happens, though. Weirder things have happened. All right, so here's what I'm theorizing. Here's one last thing on the Branstad race. I am, and you can say, haha, Ed, you were wrong. Or you can say, wow, Ed, I guess you were right. My prediction is that Branstad will not run. I've always thought, I've never thought that he would run. And the main reason is that he's been governing. Anytime Branstad actually governs in the past, when I served with him, when I was in the House, if he was actually governing, the only time he did that was when he wasn't running again. The last year, maybe 2 years of his fourth term was when he wasn't going to run again, and he was actually governing. And he did a really lousy job of it. Previous to that, it was almost like he wasn't there. He came and did the State of the Union address, State of the State address. And then he went back out to Iowa, across the state, cutting ribbons, kissing babies, going to every little event he could find. He campaigned. In other words, if Branstad was always campaigning, the only time I saw him not campaigning and actually governing was the very tail end of his last term. And that's what he's been doing. He's been governing. Again, it's horrible. I wish he would just stick to campaigning, but he's been governing. And unless he's changed his mind, I think his plan all along has been not to run for re-election, to just come in and do it once, one more term, get the seat back in the R column. Doug Gross asked him to do that, and he did it. And then move on. But, perhaps the appeal of being the longest serving governor in U.S. history will win out, and he will run again. But I still say there's a very good chance of what he's doing. He's playing a game, and the game is this. I hold out for as long as possible. No other Republican will dare jump in thinking that I'm going to run again. And then at the last minute, I back out, and the only candidate who's in any kind of a position to run is my Lieutenant Governor, Kim Reynolds. I think that has been the plan, and I think it is the plan. And if I'm wrong, well, sue me. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll know soon enough, I suspect. All right, so what else? One more thing. This was interesting. I didn't even know why the Register. Again, I don't know why they ignored Bob Krause. I don't know why they paid attention to Chet Culver, or Tom Vilsack for that matter, because Vilsack has made it clear he's not running again for governor. And why would he? Gosh, what a great job. Secretary of Ag for the U.S., and you want to come back and take a shot at governor in a race that you'll spend an incredible amount of money, wear yourself out even more than you do being Secretary of Ag, and probably lose? I mean, why would you want to do that? No, Vilsack is going to stay right where he is. Chet Culver, Chet Culver might be interested in running, but maybe this poll is actually probably worth looking at because of what came out of it. Again, Branstad's popularity, 54%. Vilsack, not far behind, 48%. Again, ignore the popularity level, or the favorability, let's call it the favorability level of Jack Hatch and Tyler Olson. It means nothing because they are not that well known across the state. But Chet Culver, 34%. He's 20% less favorable than Branstad. Ouch, and he hasn't even been governor. You would think the guy being governor would see his favorability drop. Usually when you're up there making tough decisions and making really bad decisions in Branstad's case, you don't expect to see 54%. And if you've been out of office for a while, maybe people will cut you some slack. They like you a little more. That kind of worked for Vilsack. I mean, Vilsack was unpopular after he was done being governor. One reason he didn't get very far running for president, because he was polling fourth in Iowa. A candidate from Iowa running for president usually gets 70? What did Harkin get? 70+% when he ran for president in 1992. Vilsack was polling fourth in Iowa. So, for somebody being done being governor, yeah, their popularity might be sour, but it's been almost 4 years now. Culver should be doing better than 34% favorability. So, if anything, this poll says to Culver, maybe you should stick with something else. Well, anyway. All right, so again, I was pleased. This does not happen very often, where I read the paper and I am inspired and in agreement with two Grassleys. Well, Barbara Grassley had a great piece on the protecting yourself against skin cancer. A lot of it was critical of tanning boots, and again, criticism well placed. But her her commentary on the importance of sunscreen and the importance of decent sunglasses, it hit home. Now, I'm going to try to be a better boy about wearing sunscreen. I got some really good stuff, by the way, at Campbell's Nutrition. Diane helped me out. Yeah, good stuff. None of that chemical lab stuff. It's all from good, solid ingredients you can trust. We'll see how it works once the sun comes out again, if the sun comes out again. So I found myself agreeing with Barb Grassley, and I found myself agreeing with Chuck Grassley in his criticism of Smithfield's proposed sale to a big corporate ag company in China. Grassley was kind of a little bit nuanced about it, but he was at least asking some of the right questions, and I was very grateful. But then somebody reminded me of all the times that he has just said no on so many issues recently, on immigration, on background checks for gun ownership, on assault weapons, on reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, on no to Hurricane Sandy relief, on no to confirming Hagel, no to the use of funds for the transfer or release of individuals detained at Guantanamo Bay. Grassley voting no on the Job Protection and Recession Prevention Act, one of only 8 senators to vote no. No to the Middle Class Tax Relief Act, no to the Bring Jobs Home Act, and no to Small Business Jobs and Relief Act. The writer, Kathy Meyer from Winterset, says, surely some of this legislation benefits Iowans. It's difficult, if not impossible, to find Grassley agreeing with or finding compromise with anything that looks like a win for the current administration. And I think, the letter reminded me that Grassley has become extremely partisan. He's become much less the independent thinker that we used to know. Again, I appreciated his independence on the proposed sale of Smithfield. But again, overall, I look at his record recently, and I look at his rhetoric, and I'm thinking, this is not the guy that we used to elect here in Iowa that we used to praise for being independent, and a bit of a maverick. It's not the same guy. All right. So anyway, moving on from that, I'm out of time this segment, but there's two other things I got to talk about politically, and one is one other thing. Sorry, just one, and that is the Democrats' nasty attack on one Republican candidate. This is the kind of thing that backfires, that makes your party and your staff look really, really foolish. I'll talk about that when I get back. And we're going to talk about Vilsack on climate change and a couple other climate angles, including somebody is proposing a debate between a professor at Iowa State University and State Representative Ralph Watts. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Again, we want to remind folks about the $1 Million Marathon. This is starting June 21st. And we're going to have somebody from the $1 Million Marathon on the show this week sometime. This starts June 21st on the West Coast, 160 marathons across the country to raise money for cancer research. I want to throw out a quick plug for three of my other business supporters, Community CPA and Associates. That's at 3816 Ingersoll Ave. Also, again, the Fighting Burrito. Do not forget, great burritos, the Fighting Burrito. Very affordable, and you get to choose how it's made. I also want to thank Gateway Market and Cafe at 20th and Woodland. Great grocery store. Check it out, folks. Not just that, but a cafe and a catering service. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm not the guy who cared about love. I'm not the guy who cared about fortunes and such. Never cared much. Oh, look at me now.
Max Wellman, and we're back to our conversation. I want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit for sponsoring this segment of our show. And I want to thank our business allies, Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling. Tinker's been doing that work on furnaces and AC for a long, long time. I think 3+ decades. Give them a shout at 371-2114. That's 371-2114. I want to recommend Hawk Restaurant, fantastic place in the East Village, East 5th and Walnut. 90% of the food they serve comes from Iowa farms and local producers, probably including Larry Cleverly, I suspect, who we talked about earlier this program and who we will continue to advocate for. Also, Story County Veterinary Clinic. Dr. Kim Holding's been working that scene for a long time. Give her a shout for all your critter needs. Again, information about her business and how to contact her on my website. Maddie has been squandering her time playing around with mustaches while
Absolutely
we should be doing serious work. But no, before we do serious work and read the Democratic Party, the Riot Act.
I just don't think you understand the seriousness of how popular the mustache has become.
All right,
This is a bracelet.
Is that a mustache or is this is that like a?
It's like
is that like a piece of dirt on the carpet or what is that?
I think that maybe they took lint out of the dryer. And then they stuck it to a bracelet.
I mean, I would not, if you gave me 20 guesses, I would not have known that was a mustache.
It's a mustache.
All right.
And then this is a brass mustache. Weapon or jewelry. Can't quite tell.
Weapon or jewelry?
This is a
now
serious
that's
mustache.
a mustache.
This guy does a lot of crazy mustaches. This is a different guy, I think.
Oh my gosh. How did he? I mean, wait now. You could get killed with a mustache like that. That could get caught.
Or you could kill someone else.
No, I don't think you can kill anyone else, but I think you could easily die. I mean, I'm envisioning all sorts of ways. Gets caught in the subway door as you're exiting a train. This is assuming you're in a bigger city.
What about this guy?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that. Okay.
And this all probably explains that.
Okay, is that previous picture Branstad at birth?
It might be.
That could be Branstad.
It might be.
So he still has the mustache, but he's lost the pacifier.
Well, yes.
Well, at least maybe the microphone has taken the place of a pacifier.
I think so.
All right, Maddie, I need to find more work for you. Anyway.
No.
All right. So why am I upset at Democrats? Well, nothing new there. But this is a different angle. I always challenge politicians to run a clean race, to be fair, to be reasonable. You know, not to trivialize an issue, not to attack somebody. Sure, criticize somebody's positions on an issue. You know, do it legitimately, fairly, honestly. But this attack by the Iowa Democratic Party on David Young. I mean, David Young is one of the unknown candidates running for the U.S. Senate on the Republican side. Again, how unknown? 74% of Iowans have never heard of the guy. All right, I'm surprised it's not higher than that. But you would think with a guy, why is the Democratic Party even giving this guy any press? I mean, they gave him press by putting up this website post about him, and they say, quote, and again, this guy's he's been an aide to Chuck Grassley, been in Washington, D.C. He's from Iowa. He's lived 3/4 of his life in Iowa. So he's working with a U.S. Senator representing Iowa in Washington, D.C. When you work for a politician who goes to Washington, D.C. to represent his constituents or her constituents back home, yeah, you're still connected to the state. So they say, quote, we know David Young is new here, so let's start with the basics. This is what the Democratic Party's website says about him. And then they show 3 photos. This is a barn. This is a silo. This is a butter cow. The Democrats' website then says, David Young has spent years being part of the problem in Washington instead of working to improve the lives of Iowans. I mean, this is so foolish. It's so dumb. I mean, how are you going to you discredit yourself? First of all, you give the guy press, and you sound just ridiculous. I mean, I really hope that somebody at party headquarters is saying, "Oh, this is a mistake. Let's take this down." All right. So, you know, I mean, if you want to say accuse him of being an insider, I mean, how long has Bruce Braley been in Washington D.C.? I mean, not that long actually, since 2006. I don't know how long it takes you to become an insider, but I mean, like anyway, it's just foolish, and You make yourself look really silly doing that stuff, Democrats. Anyway, not that the Republicans don't do it as well, but, you know, we would all be served better by the process becoming a little bit more reasonable. All right, that's just crazy, unreasonable talk. Vilsack, Tom Vilsack, Secretary of Ag, on climate change. He says it will soon affect agriculture. My only problem with that headline is that it already is affecting agriculture. But what Vilsack is saying, he said this last week at a what was it? I can't remember now. Where was the event? But it was what he said was that U.S. farmers and ranchers need to adapt, or they will risk getting left behind as climate change becomes an increasingly influential part of farming. I don't know what happens if farmers and ranchers are left behind. I mean, where does the food come from? I mean, if they're left behind, I'm just trying to envision, okay, does that kind of end up leaving the human species behind somewhere? I don't know. It doesn't sound good. Okay, but I understand what he's saying. He's recognizing the fact that climate change is having a major impact on how we grow food and on what affects the food we grow, whether it's drought, floods, new strains of insects, new types of blight. I mean, I've seen new types of blight in the last 3 years that I've never seen before on my brassicas, for example, broccoli, cauliflower, stuff that never bothered them before is now an epidemic. So Vilsack says that better technological advancements through products such as seed so far have been enough to maintain production levels. Tom Vilsack is clever. Products such as seed. Now, you know what that means. That means GMO seeds, all right? That means genetically modified organisms. Products such as seeds. I just wish, again, he's very intelligent, very clever. I wish he would be more straightforward about what a product such as seed is. And yeah, you might be able to make the argument that GMOs have been able to increase productivity. But in the end, I think the problems associated with GMOs are going to make that option far less appealing and also begin to reveal some of the dangers and risks of splicing a gene from one species into another. That's problematic on so many levels that I don't even think we've begun to fathom. Vilsack goes on to say that the threat of a changing climate, quote, it's much different than anything we've ever tackled. Boom, you nailed that one. It absolutely is much different than anything we've ever tackled. And he says, if we do not adapt and mitigate climate impacts, it could have an impact on yields. It could have an impact on where we grow, what we grow in the future. Again, the only problem I have with that is it's not like it could. It will have an impact on everything to do with our food. So again, I'm glad he's bringing that up. We might disagree with some of the details, but again, I respect him for bringing it up. One last thing on climate change. We got to run to a hard break at the end. We got to run to the end of the show here soon, but I want to thank Hugo Franzen, Professor Emeritus from Iowa State University, who wrote a letter to the editor the other day talking about the climate march and specifically criticizing Ralph Watts' comments that he would place climate change somewhere around 99 or 100 on his list of problems that we needed to deal with. Now, what Franzen says, on the occasion when I spoke with Watts once, he said, I said I would like him to look at a PowerPoint presentation he's done. And so Franzen is challenging him to a debate, and I'm going to help facilitate that. I'm going to write to Ralph and see if he will agree to that, because he's been on the show before. He's even though we disagree, I'll say this about Watts. Representative Watts is not afraid to talk about his positions and what he believes in. So I respect that, even though we may disagree in lots of ways. I again want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit for sponsoring this segment of our show. Remind you about some of my other business supporters. Please support the businesses that make this show possible, that are willing to invest in the alternative to commercial radio, which is not going to give you these conversations. Community CPA and Associates, Ritual Cafe at 13th and Locust in downtown Des Moines, and Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering in Beaverdale. Again, I want to thank the birthday girl, Maddie Arrington, for being my producer and doing a great job and not sleeping in and just sitting home and eating cake all day. Maddie, thank you so much.
I do my best.
You do your best.
I may have slept in.
Well, you might have slept in, and you didn't. Good for you. I want to thank Webcast One Live for providing the studio for this program, and remind you folks to thank our sponsors, the Sierra Club, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, that is, the Iowa chapter of Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Great March for Climate Action. Check out the Great March for Climate Action's website and Facebook page and get involved. That's going to be quite an undertaking next year. I'll be back tomorrow.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.